I didn't have the microphone on, bro.
You're good.
It's all right. I'm going to leave
back.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. I just explained this to you, bro. All right, podcast is starting now. We've been chopping it up for fucking 5 minutes, bro. I'm so sorry I had to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
We're basically, I'll give it a quick recap again. Welcome to the Doxcast studio, bro. Podcast isn't too crazy, but you said it looks all right anyway. And shout out to Shreyas. Anyway, you're telling me you met him down in Canberra. You were in the same friendship circle, but then you asked him to come down. And I think you were on the lines of saying he's not who he seems to be online. So shout out to Shreyas. I'm so sorry I did that.
No, so yeah, like what I was saying was, yeah, bro is friends with like my cousin's family friends and just other people that I know personally. I've seen him around in the past. Knew of him, but yeah, I think this event in Canberra that we did, Pastor Mike, shout out Bodega and shout out Peter for putting on Pastor Mike this year. But yeah, the Canberra leg of it, we obviously had the pleasure of being involved, and yeah, we met Shreyas down there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we thought it was a good opportunity, bro, just to like have him come up, and as I was just saying before, like watched a lot of his videos in the past, and yeah, I just thought it was entertaining, like funny stuff, and I think people take what they see on the internet very seriously sometimes, and it doesn't have to be as serious as what people think it is. And I actually had a lot of people tell me too after Pastor Mike was done. They were like, "Man, like Shreyas is a very humble and nice guy. He is like he's a very welcoming personality, a very very nice dude, very well spoken." I just think how people are online to how they are off camera is very different, and you know, he obviously makes his content a certain way for the
rage, bro.
Yeah, and for the humor of it and everything as well. But it's like, I think people need to separate like the content creator version of him to like who he actually is, because I personally believe they're two different people. But yeah, he's a
absolutely
good dude. Shout out him.
Shout out to him, bro. Shout out to him. I was gonna say, based on the Australia thing as well, since we're giving him a shout out, like so many people in my personal life, like friends outside of content world, they have also known him, but they're like, bro, I can't stand like the stuff I see. Like I can't stand seeing this stuff. I'm like, bro, you don't get it. Like that's the point. He's trying to rage you, and they're like, nah, bro, he's being serious. The second that I bring everyone together again, everyone says the exact same thing you just said, bro. Like, wow, he's genuinely one of the nicest guys ever. And he's genuinely that outgoing character as well, you know what I mean? Like, we'll drive him back maybe like a couple months ago from some event, whatever we did. Maybe we went to dinner or something. And we were in the car, and he had people he had never met before. And he's like, hey, someone put on some freestyle beats and we'll all freestyle. And bro, everyone in the car's giving it a go, bro. No one can do it. Even Australia's like, no one's good at it, like, you know. And he's like, yeah, bro, it's fun, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, that's a different level of confidence, bro, you know?
Yeah, oh, shit.
Shout out to him.
I think we got to have a couple of conversations, like, outside of being at the event and everything, just, like, in between travel from, like, location to location. And I think one thing that, like, I liked about his personality is he's very, he's very self-aware, which I think is a good personality trait to have. He's not doing it obliviously, which I think plays a big part, where he's not here, like, making all these outrageous comments, or, like, saying the stuff and actually believing it. So I think I said to him personally, I said, with the range that he's got now and, like, where everything's going, he's definitely got opportunity to, like, go into different routes as well. Like, he could go into, like, fitness, like, motivation, that sort of stuff, or even just personal life motivation stuff, and kind of step away from, like, the rage baiting content and go into all the motivational stuff, because that stuff is doing numbers. But I think for someone like myself who, like, enjoys watching, like, ridiculous content, sometimes he'll put stuff up that I look at and I'm like, it's so funny, but it's so inappropriate, but it's so funny to me. And I think the reason that I'm able to take it in now is because I've actually met the guy and I know that he's not like that, so it makes it so much easier to, like, digest the content and actually find it funny. Whereas obviously, like, for people that don't know him personally, they like, I can see where they might, you know, build an idea. But the best thing in those sorts of settings is like to remember a lot of people in the entertainment industry are still human, and they have a personality outside of what they do for work or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's very easy, and it's like it's obviously worked not just for him, it's worked for a lot of people out there to create a character of themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I can almost understand it in a little bit of a way, hosting a podcast in a way, you know what I mean? Like now I feel like my whole identity when it comes to being on camera, off camera, it's all starting to become one.
Yeah.
But definitely in the beginning, being shy, nervous, awkward, like didn't really know how to have a conversation. This is going back 164 weeks ago. Like I had to become a podcast host, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like how would a radio host sound like right now kind of thing, you know? Now it's all starting to become one. Confidence has kicked in.
Yeah.
But if that's what I had to do personally to become online, I can imagine how much easier it must be for everyone to create this character for Instagram and be that character, you know?
Yeah, I think it takes time. Even in terms of like creating a character, I think a lot of it is trial and error. Like obviously you find something that will eventually click, and once it clicks, you can you can kind of just like take it and run with it. I've definitely met a lot of different people like being in the creative space, and you see some people that they kind of overplay their role.
Like even in real life, or like
in real life as well. Like they overplay like who they are, that sort of stuff, even at such early stages. And I've always found that to be quite interesting, because at the end of the day, like you can never fully solidify yourself in a creative space, especially like your personality, because like what the internet consumes is like I forgot what the right word is, but they don't consume the same content consistently. Like the internet changes, and like your personality has to develop to kind of adapt to that as well. So if you're the same thing for so long, like people will get bored of it.
And you kind of get left behind, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, when you're first making like a certain type of content, people are going to look at it and go, ha, like that's funny. But if you're doing the same thing for 3 to 5 years, they're going to go, bro, like this is washed.
Yeah.
They'll move on to the next thing. So it's like when you've got this opportunity in front of you where you're given a moment to kind of have like a spotlight or whatever else, I think it's super important to not just look at like the long-term goal, the short-term goal of like what's in front of you, but the long-term goal of what you're going to do with it as well, because it's super easy. And I had like a good friend of mine tell me this. It's very easy to come up, but it's very difficult to maintain it when you're up, because most people come up quick and then they fall off like just as quick. So even for us now, like working in the music space and everything, one thing that I've learned is like not to kind of look at what other people have going on, and even with like their personalities and stuff. If I meet someone who's closed off or like shy or even a little bit unresponsive when I first meet them, I kind of judge and see like what place their personality is coming from, because you'll see like initially, obviously, like I said, like closed off and shy, those sorts of people, when you take the time or like you guys spend time together, like you work together or whatever, and they start to open up, you'll notice that like the relationship that you build with those sorts of people are more long lasting and organic, because like you're spending so much time together and they're naturally opening up to you. And those are the sorts of people that I tend to learn like the most creative lessons from as well. So I feel that people that take a little bit longer to open up, they've got more to give. I don't know, like it's like you're not getting too much of it like too quickly. Whereas there's also other people that I've met that like when you first meet them, they come off extremely strong, whether that be like too much energy or like they're extremely nice from the get-go or they're very arrogant or whatever else. Like those sorts of people, I tend to kind of just hold off on like when I first meet. And it's very interesting with the personality stuff. I think when you've like developed into coming into this space, there are people that, as I said before, like overplay it, they do too much, and those are the people that have shot up pretty quickly on social media and they don't know how to handle it and whatever. But then there's other people that might also like not be exactly where the person that has boomed is, but they're steadily like behind them, and who have like slowly come up. You'll see those sorts of people are a lot more composed, humble, easier to build relationships with.
The fact that some people start off so energetic and high and bubbly, it makes me think the only way they can go is to disappoint you over time, as if someone who comes off a little bit more shy and I think the word's introverted, then over the course of getting to know them, they'll impress you more and you'll become to like them more and more, you know. It's almost like that mystery that they have starts to get revealed. But yeah, I can definitely understand how if someone's just got straight energy from the moment you meet them, then like, what are they going to get more energetic, more and more? You know what I mean? There's nothing to learn.
It's tricky, bro, because I think it's human nature to like misread people. Like, this isn't, I can't like sit here and say that like this is exactly how it's going to be. Obviously, it's very easy to misread people's personalities, but I've noticed that like I've had experiences where when I have met people that have come off extremely bubbly from the get-go, they've got like an opposite side to them, almost in a sense. Or it could be like that they're coming across a certain way because they're expecting something from you, or they're, you know what I like. And it's like, I'm not saying that like every person I meet, I'm like, this is what they want, or like I'm paranoid about it, but definitely been in environments where I've seen that from people and I'm like, this person is not who they like perceive themselves to be. And it's very interesting because the opposite end of the coin with that is people that do tend to come off super friendly and bubbly. Other people will tell you like, oh no, like that person's really nice, like why are you stressing out, blah blah blah. But then in comparison, the person that's reserved and shy and quiet, they'll be like, bro, like, you know, that guy looks like he's like big headed or he's got an ego or whatever. But in reality, it's the other way around. Like, people will always take things for face value, like what's in front of them, instead of thinking about like why a person might have that personality trait, or just looking at it a little bit deeper. And yeah, when you get to know, like it's almost like,
yeah, it's a full study of psychology, bro. Like, it actually makes perfect sense. And the thing I was trying to interpretate before was like, you're saying it's hard to get somewhere, and sometimes it might be the easier part to become a bit more recognized, noticeable, but it's even harder to stay relevant in that subject as well. And just quickly touch on that as well. There's a mad saying I like, and it also works for that as well. It's hard. You got to work hard to get somewhere, but you got to work even harder to keep it. You know? And yeah, bro, it's interesting to know that it also works inside the world of the creative space, because I apply it to, you know, my background, which is construction and trade and apprenticeship to training and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess it kind of stretches into all walks of life. And that interest that you have in people's personality traits, bro. I think a lot of people might not be aware of the fact that they are, because as you said, people take people as face value. The first thing they get is their first impression, and there's nothing more that needs to be discovered, you know. It's actually a pretty high level of self-awareness, and even just to be able to notice that about people, that, oh, he's a bit like him, he's a bit like her, she's a bit like him in that way as well. Have you ever read anything from Robert Greene, the author? Robert Greene? I think you'd be really, really a fan of him. Like, a lot of his books are like, you know, I'm going to give you one when you leave here. I'll give you one. There's one called, let me grab it right now so I can.
Actually, that'd be perfect.
Do you read? I'll wait till you go into the camera.
No, you good.
Do you read it all? Do you read it all?
Yeah. I do.
This book, The Laws of Human Nature, is a good way to summarize like a lot of what you're saying, but it's so much deeper. Like, I can't remember how many laws there are. There's probably
like, quite a
20, 22, 23 or something like that. There are 18 different laws of human nature. But I think you'd enjoy this, bro, because like, if someone who's interested in noticing people's patterns and behaviors and things like that, Robert Greene is a master.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Bro, I want you to have this book. You take this one. Yeah, you take this one.
No, I appreciate it.
It's books are meant to be passed on anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Until someone doesn't read them, and I'm like, motherfucker, like, I should have given that.
I should have given that to someone else.
So like, bro, read that book, bro. You know? Well, on the subject of being in the creative space, bro, like, I want to know your introduction to it in the first place, because you're in the world of the producing side of it.
I guess that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
How did you even get into that? Like, have you always been interested in music growing up?
Bro, like, honestly, I think music's like always been in my life. When I was younger, my cousins, especially like a lot of my older cousins, they are all heavy like music heads, and when we'd have like Christmas parties and functions and stuff, we go overseas. So it's, like most of my like family are overseas. I don't have any family really like in the country, but I've got a lot of family in New Zealand. When we were younger, we used to all come together for Christmas and New Year's and stuff. And yeah, when I'd go down there, man, it was always music. Like,
wow,
there was no parties without music. And
yeah,
yeah,
what's a party without music?
Yeah,
though,
right. But it's like yeah, and it was very different for me because, like my whole introduction to music was through like a lot of my older cousins, like my older sisters, that were like, you know, playing stuff. Yeah, when we were all together, and that definitely influenced music for me.
Yeah, mad. I guess that makes sense in a way, because like me personally, I have no cousins, I have no older siblings. I have two younger siblings, which is I'm very fortunate enough to have that. But I never had an introduction into any space, you know what I mean? It was almost like walking around the world thinking to myself, like, what's out there, you know what I mean? So to have family members who love music, if you already look up to them and have that love and connection and whatever they're interested in, bro, you're going to be interested in 100%.
No, exactly. And I think it's exactly what you said before. Like, even for me growing up, like, I've only got one younger sister and like mum here. But then when I go overseas is where I've got all these like cousins are like extended siblings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I've got, my mum's one of 7 girls.
Damn.
Yeah. They're
no boys at all?
No boys.
Wow, that, bro.
Girls,
Your grandpa being it. Like, raw, bro. That's
me,
crazy.
Like, yeah, he had
kept trying, bro. He kept trying.
He went on a generational run, but he had to give up, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it was one of those ones where 5 of those sisters live in New Zealand. And when we used to go up there, like obviously most of them had girls as well. Like got a couple of guy cousins, but my family's mostly women. So yeah, we go up there and it was always a good time. I had one cousin, like she'd always put me onto songs and stuff. Like my first introduction to like rap, R&B was Chris Brown.
Yeah,
he was like,
gang,
yeah,
bro.
he's my goat.
Yeah, straight out, bro. Breezy,
so,
bro.
Yeah, Breezy. I think it was Breezy and Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And like she put me on, bro, like it was like 2007 or 8. So I would have been like 5 or 6 years
like
old.
Like wall to wall type stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it was like, I think 2008, she put me onto like I Can Transform Ya.
Yeah.
Like
bro,
that,
you've
bro.
dreamed me up, bro.
And it's like that changed, bro. That song like has single-handedly like changed my life. I heard this and I was like, bro, this shit is, I remember like 6-year-old
He did, bro.
me.
He transformed you.
Yeah, literally, like, bro, I would sit there, like I remember she used to have these like little like Walkman type things, with like the tiny screens on it.
Oh, the little MP3s,
and I would
bro.
just, bro, sit there like on the couch as like a 6-year-old and just watch that video like over and over and over again. And then from there, as I got older, when it's like Sean Kingston and like, you know, she just branched me out bit by bit, and then I kind of found my way from there. But yeah, music has like always been a big thing in my life. I think I've always had it.
Yeah, man. What about today? Do you still like, is R&B your still favorite genre when it comes to music?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, nice.
I definitely think I still have a lot of love for R&B. And yeah, growing up, like I always knew I loved music. Got into high school.
Do you ever play any instruments in school?
No.
No, never did I. Yeah, never did I. If you could go back, would you think it'd be nice to learn an instrument?
Because I think I know the direction that like I'm kind of going in now. So it would have been cool to have those foundations earlier. I did play guitar briefly, but like nothing that like I remembered as I got older.
Yeah, I think I could maybe play Pumped Up Kicks
Yeah,
if I
just
watch a YouTube video again.
Yeah. And it was one of those ones, like got into high school. Obviously, you get to that point in your life where you're kind of looking at what you want to do, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And yeah, I don't know. I really, like, music was always something that just stuck out to me. So it's what I wanted to do. But coming from, you know, like an ethnic household and everything, when that was something I took home to mum, she was initially like, she was kind of supportive of it. But my mum's also a very logical lady.
Yeah.
So she kind of said to me like, you know, I'm happy for you to do that, but it's not something that is like guaranteed to work out. So I'm going to need you to like get through school first and study and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, when I was younger, like it didn't seem like it was something that was attainable. so yeah, like I never really followed through with it, but I had friends around me that were doing music that were getting successful off it and things like that. And I always had this little itch where I was like fuck, like I should be doing that as well, but I wasn't able to do it.
And how old are you, by the way?
23, man.
23.
Yeah,
I thought
23.
you'd be 23.
Yeah.
You kind of look 23. Like, I got that vibe. Could be a bit older, but I got 23.
Yeah, 23, bro.
Yeah. Do you reckon you could guess my age? Do you reckon you could guess it?
25?
27.
27?
I'll take that, bro. I'll take that.
Good, yeah. It's good.
I'll take that. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so, I'm sorry, I did cut you off to say, did you study or anything like that? But I'm just trying to paint a picture here.
Yeah.
So you had some friends that were killing it in music, and
yeah,
you were saying
so I had
that you
friends
were
that like started off young. So, you know, I'd come down to Sydney when I was 16, 17, go to parties and stuff here with guys that were like on the come up at the time that are in pretty successful places now.
Man.
And I never would have thought it was attainable. But then I seen these guys do it and I was like, damn, like I would love to be a part of this. But obviously I don't live in Sydney. And then outside of that, like, it just seemed like it was a very unattainable goal at the time. And then, yeah, fast forward a couple of years, you know, I'm getting through school, finish college. And then once I'm out of college and I step into uni, I was like, all right, cool. Now I'm in uni and I'm studying, but music is still like my biggest thing. Like I'm always listening to music when we're throwing parties and stuff. Like I'm always playing the music. People are always flinging me the aux. So I was like, I need to do something about this, because if I don't try it, or if I don't at least attempt it, then this is going to be like an itch in my brain like for the rest of my life. So when COVID hit and we were stuck indoors and like we couldn't leave the house, I was like, all right, cool. This is a good time for me to just try something new. So I had money I saved up from work, and yeah, I bought everything in one go. I had a very good friend of mine from primary school or like high school, who was just getting into producing at the time too. He signed to a successful label at that time, and I was kind of watching him come up. So there was a lot of excitement for me seeing a friend of mine like go through that route, and he definitely played a big role in putting me in the right direction to like start producing and everything.
Man,
and
shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to him, bro. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
He sent me a list of the stuff that I need to get started. So man, yeah, fuck, like I just went and bought a MacBook, I bought studio monitors, bought an interface, like headphones, bro. Like I just dumped all my money.
Yeah, bro.
Came home,
I know the feeling, bro. Like,
right, bro, and I'm sitting here, bro. Like I'm staring at all this equipment. I'm like, holy shit! Like, where do I get started?
Yeah.
Yeah, and from there it was like just YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
I went into it with no music theory, because like I hadn't played any instruments or anything. So the next year and a bit, bro, I'm just watching YouTube videos, learning to remake beats that like my favorite type of beats or favorite type of drums or whatever. And then yeah, over time it just, I don't know, bro, like I just got good at it. Like,
well, that's the beautiful part about life, bro. Like realistically, like if you find something and you chase it, like it'll start to reveal itself to become something you're good at, and all of a sudden you're like, it's hard to remember. Like I didn't know how to do this when I started sometimes, you know. And there's a couple of pins I want to go across as we had this conversation as well. Like the first one being like, you know, your mum being logical, as you said. Like I was thinking along the words of like traditional. I thought I could have tried to guess what word you were going to say when you were saying it, but when you said logical, I related so much, bro, because my mum's the exact same. Yeah, like there's been a couple of times, bro, where I've had to like snap and be like, mum, like, believe in me, you know what I mean? Like you're killing me. Yeah. And then she'll have a conversation with me and she's like, I do. I want you to know I really do. It's like I just can't help this logical part of me that's like, but maybe you should get a trade, or maybe you should save some money, or maybe you should do this. And you know, and like I think that's natural, honest, and expected. Like mums should be like that in a way, you know what I mean?
I think they want the best for us.
Of course.
And obviously that plays a big part. Like for my mom, you know, it's like she's a single mom and she built herself from the ground up. Like I watched her do everything, and I think that was always a massive motivation for me to do multiple things at once, because, you know, like she got married young, she had me and my sister young, and then we came out here, and like my father basically like walked out on her. He just kind of neglected his responsibilities, and in the process of that, like she she did everything when she came there. Like I watched her get her license to like, you know, go and study and then go to uni and then get a degree and then, you know, like I watched her do everything over like my time period with her. So seeing her from where she was initially to where she is now and doing that while she had 2 kids as well, I like told myself there's no excuses. Like you can't, you know, like I can't sit here and like tell myself, oh, I can't do this because it's too late or that's too late. You know, like I can't imagine in this current generation what it would be like to be stuck with 2 kids in a country where you're not familiar with anything, with no qualifications. Like, where do you start? And just watching my mom do that, I think it kind of was like, it was a big ticker for me where I was like, okay, if she can do something like this where she had basically lost her life and marriage life so early, but she was able to like completely rewrite her story, then I should be able to study and do music at the exact same time. And I think her come up is exactly why she was always so logical about the decisions that she would make. And obviously me pitching this idea to her, I understood where her brain kind of went with it, because if she's done all this for me to get to where I like I've gotten to, and I'm telling her that I want to go into this space but I've got no experience in it, I don't have anything to show for it, and I'm just telling her that it's a fleeting idea, then obviously she's going to be like, how are you going to make that happen? So for me after that, the next step was to like do uni and do all of that just so that I've got that as a safe keep, but then also like prove to her that the music thing isn't just like a fantasy idea that I've got, that I do have the means to make that happen as well. And
I think it would make you stay hungry for longer, to be honest, if I think about it, because you don't have all this free time that you can pick it up and choose to do it whenever you want. You have windows now, you know what I mean? You have grind windows. There's this thing called EU stress. I might have even learnt it from Robert Greene, to be honest. I can't remember where I learnt it from, but yeah, basically 2 types of stress. One is normal stress and one is EU stress. And what EU stress is having a time frame. So they have figured out that the best books ever written were when they were told, you've got 6 months or we're not going to publish this book. Or the best songs produced have been like, shit, this is meant to be done. They're coming tomorrow. I need to get this beat made. You know what I mean? All this EU stress creates the best things because it's like, I have to get this done. So I think that your passion and your craft would have been able to elevate so much quicker, knowing, shit, I've got a couple hours this day, a couple hours that day, you know?
I think there was a sense of urgency, bro, for me as well, in particular, because it was like, I always had such big dreams. And I think most people do have big dreams, but there's a difference between having the dream and then working towards it. I've met so many people along the way that like, they'll tell me, bro, I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. But there was nothing to show for it. Or like, I've met people that would tell you like, all right, in 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be in this place. But in 3 to 5 years, like, they're exactly where they first started. And the way I saw it was every year I look back at the last year, and if I'm not in the same place where I was last year, then I'm doing something right and I can keep going. It's not a thing of like, I need to be famous or whatever by next year, otherwise it's shit. No, like if this year I'm exactly where I'm at, and then 12 months down the line, I look back and go, all right, in these 12 months I've done this, and this, that's enough. Absolutely. That's still progress, you know what I mean? So it was always just trying to work towards it slowly. And I think I've always been very structured with stuff like that. Coming into making beats, like I said, initially had no idea what I was doing, but I just found a way to make it work, watch YouTube videos, reach out to friends, then use like my mates' connections, or, you know, like build relationships with them and learn from them. And yeah, I definitely think I had an extremely quick development as a producer, like only being in the game for now 2.5 to 3 years properly.
That's mad.
Yeah,
that is mad, bro. And there's almost no excuses, as you said earlier, you know, the fact that your mum was able to create this life for herself, like how she's doing it in today's age, bro. Like YouTube, now we've got ChatGPT. Do you know this morning I used it for an hour and a half, bro? Like I was sending all my emails, my journalings of ChatGPT. When I'm editing, I'm like, how do I add this blur motion, bro? Like ChatGPT will just tell me, like there's so many valuable resources at our disposal nowadays that it's like there is no excuse as to why we can and can't learn to do something, you know? And take me back a little bit as well. Like when you first started to make beats, what did you start making them on? Like, because I'm gonna guess, I don't know if it's still around, but I remember playing around with FL Studio, bro. When
FL,
it was,
I use FL as well.
Ah, man, because bro, I think I had no idea what it would be up to now, but I think when I downloaded it, we had like the Windows computers with the big fucking shit all over them.
Bro,
I think
it's like
I had
25 or something.
real, bro.
Yeah, I got to double check, but I think it's like 25.
Bro, do you know I downloaded FL Studio 9? I'll never forget the feeling of downloading that and adding kicks and snares and drums and like I have no idea how to use it today. ChatGPT will help me, but like back then it was like a very I only knew a very basic thing, kick, snare, that's it, bro.
Yeah, but it's like it's very entertaining.
But it's cool, bro.
Like, it's entertaining,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for me as well, it was first coming into it, bro. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Am I looking at? And I obviously, like, I didn't know that I wanted to take the production route. Initially, I think every person that wants to start music is like, yo, I'm gonna start rapping.
Yeah, right, straight up.
It's like, and then I thought about it and I was like, that side of it's cool, but there's different avenues that you can take. You don't have to just be a rapper. You can, you can help build someone up, or you can help build an artist up, and the producer is just as important. The engineer is just as important. Everyone that works in the back end of the team is just as important.
Well, bro, look at like Cole Bennett.
Yeah.
Cole Bennett's like one of my inspirations in life. And I have I would say I have no interest in music videos and all this kind of stuff. I do find that stuff awesome. The BTS of all these things are my favorite parts of any music video. But like, he's a household name almost in today's generation, bro. And he's like the videography director.
Yeah. It's like when you say Lyrical Lemonade, like most people
bro.
know it because they've watched like one of his videos. And I think that type of reach is like, that's where success really shows itself. It like speaks for itself almost. And that's the type of success that I think like I would love to achieve one day in terms of the production field as well. There's obviously different levels to it. And I think I've noticed a pattern of people working so hard to try and become successful, but they stop too early, or they think they've made it too early. And there's a cycle in Australia in particular, and I say this very lightly, and once again, I've like told myself in the past, if I ever end up in situations like this when I'm like on a podcast or whatever, to, always make sure to say like, these are just my opinions, and obviously it might be right, it might be wrong, but this is how I perceive it, this is what I personally think. But in terms of the Australian creative scene, I think that there's still an extreme amount of space for development, because people here think they've made it way too early.
Oh, bro.
And it's a situation of like, I'm gonna say the music space, for example, because obviously that's like where I'm in. Some of the most talented guys that I've seen, or like some of the craziest producers or the craziest DJs that I've seen, are extremely humble people that work behind closed doors. Some of the craziest artists I've met are very quiet artists that like to work in their own spaces, that are really, really good at their craft. But then you see a lot of other people that, in my opinion, might not have the same level of skill set, or might have not developed like their skills as much as these more talented guys, but they're the ones that are like outside at these events, like hyping each other up and like, telling each other like, bro, you're the GOAT, like you're you're crazy what you do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's good to have that positive reinforcement, but I still feel like if you convince yourself that you've made it so early, then like you're cutting yourself short to like long-term success. And most of these guys are successful within just the creative space. Do you know what I mean? And that's another thing where it's like, if you think you've made it, but then you've only made it around the people in your creative space, you haven't actually made it. These people know you because you're in the same space as them. You're in the same competitive field as them. They're obviously aware of who you are. But in my eyes, I think like the definition of real success for me would be like if I was walking into like a shopping center with my family, for example, and like a kid from school recognizes me, you know, and comes over and says like, I love your work, or, oh, like you produced for this person, blah, blah, like, you know, that for me is where I would feel like that's success, because, you know, it's not people in the creative space that know who I am that's recognizing me. It's like the general public, or like, you know, people that are consumers, like general consumers. And that's where the long-term success is. That's what I tell a lot of my boys, or like a lot of my brothers that are in this creative space. I tell them like, we're not doing this for other creatives. Like we're doing this for like, I'm not going to say regular people because it's the wrong word, but
the consumers,
like general consumers, for people that are taking it in, or people that like enjoy the music and that sort of stuff. And it's the same thing with Cole Bennett, for example. The reason Cole Bennett is so successful is because people might not know Cole Bennett as a person, but if you mention Lyrical Lemonade, I guarantee like majority of people have watched one of his music videos at one point in their life. You know what I mean? Like if you mention like Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD, for example, guarantee like 80 to 85% of people have seen that music video.
Yeah.
And it's like that's such a crazy thing when you think about it, because like you've basically impacted like not just the music industry, but the general people. And then, you know, like your average person's like parents have probably seen it on TV while they've been at home watching it on YouTube or whatever else. It's like having that level of reach is where success stands, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I think I'm victim to exactly what you're saying as well. Like I've actually noticed it with myself in the last 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Especially something I've been reflecting on for the last one, where I think I celebrate too early.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a natural human characteristic flaw that we kind of have as well, because it is good to be proud of what we've done, but every now and then I might get an easy example for everyone listening who's aware of the fact that I'm hosting this podcast. Like let's just say I have 5 or 6 episodes booked in now, and I'm like almost stress-free in a way. As soon as some start to fall off and, oh shit, this person can't come today, this, that, then I'm not prepared anymore, you know? But if I stayed hungry, bro, if I had a bigger vision, I think that might be the problem in what a lot of people don't have. Like they've set themselves too easy of goals where, oh, I hope the boys like this song. I hope like my parents or my local community are able to appreciate what I've built. And then as soon as they're out there, and then everyone's going, yeah, bro, that's hectic. It's like, oh, mission passed, bro. Time to relax, time to chill. But if the goal
there's more to it than that.
Absolutely, bro. If the goal is, you know, reaching 1 million people, if that's the goal, I don't think you'll start celebrating small and shortly and way too fast. And you'll it's about remaining hungry, bro. You know, like we all know, like, every artist, their music is mad on the come up. It's unbelievable. Once they reach that level of fame, it's almost like every single one of them starts to fall off, bro. The next albums aren't hitting as hard. Like there's not enough passion and depth, bro, because they're not hungry. So I think that might be a bit about what it is, bro. I don't think necessarily people are allowing themselves to be too proud. I just think their goal wasn't big enough to start with, and they haven't realized that they can do more, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think the issue is necessarily like not having a massive goal, but I think it's more, or even if it was, let's say, even if, as you had mentioned before, like let's say the goal is to reach 1 million people. If I was to tackle that, I wouldn't go out there trying to reach 1 million people, but like I'd try to tackle 100 first, then 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. But once the problem is, like, once you hit that 10,000 bracket, and like you are getting recognized, that's where it really starts to that's the test, because now you've hit this phase where people are recognizing you, you're feeling important, but you're not exactly where you should be just yet. So it's like now you're stuck in this position where, all right, like, have you made it? Can you be comfortable, or do you have to keep going? And for a lot of people, as I said before, especially in this creative space, when it's the creative scene supporting you, and just the creative scene, or it's just a fan base that is extremely tapped in with the creative space, people think, all right, yeah, I've made it. And it's almost like I had a friend of mine say this to me like a year ago. I think it's a Sydney term, because one of the Sydney boys, he said like an area king, you know what I mean? So like like we don't like like we don't use like from the area like and stuff like that in Canberra, like where I'm from as such. But like I can resonate with that, where it's like when like he said it to me about someone where he was like, yeah, bro, like their career doesn't want to develop because they're happy being an area king. And that kind of made sense to me, where I was like, when you're known in your community or you're known in your space, people think that is success, but there is so much more than that you can tackle. You know, like you think that you're known, but then if you go out into, like I said before, like a shopping center or a public space or whatever, what's the likelihood that you're going to get recognized by the average school kid, or you're going to get recognized by the average person or whatever else? That's where the success lies. And I'm not saying like chase the fame and go for the fame, but it's like, if that does matter to you, then, you know, like you've still got a long way to go. And I don't know about other people, and I think if I'm to be entirely honest, like anyone that says, bro, I don't care about the fame, like I just want the money, that's bullshit.
Yeah, bro.
It's bullshit, bro. Like you can't.
Bro, I don't care about the money. I want the fame.
Yeah,
bro.
right. And it's like, bro, to be fair, it's like I care about both. I'll be honest. Like I'm not coming into this space to work so hard to build something for myself and not get the credit for it. Like it's human nature to want to be recognized for what you do. Especially when it's like when we were kids, like you do something good in school and they give you a sticker on like your homework or something, like you feel good about that. Even at this grown age, bro, if my mom tells me she's proud of something I've done, like I feel so good about it for the rest of the week. Like positive reinforcement is always something that humans like. Humans like attention. It's normal. So it's like if you're coming into a space that requires attention, you want that. So if anyone that sits here and goes, yeah, man, fuck, like, I don't care about the fame, I just care about money. It's like, bro, if you cared about the money, then you would have found a job that pays you well. Like, you wouldn't be in this field, because in this field, you need the success before the money follows, unfortunately.
Oh, that is a good point. You need the success before the money.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to word the fact that chase your dreams and the money will come second. Like, it is actually, that makes perfect sense,
In this space, at least, I feel that's how it is. Like, you're not going to, like, I don't know any musician or like rapper or artist or whoever in the scene that like came up with all this money, because if they had the money, then where's the come up?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I like as well how you said like, like the goal should be, to make it for the first 100, then the first 1,000, and then 10,000. And it makes sense to what we were saying before as well, how a lot of people say they want to do all these things and then never do them. You check back in 3, 4, 5 years later, and then all of a sudden, what happened to this goal, this dream, this plan? It was completely left on the pillow, And that might be another reason why people aren't necessarily going after the things that they say they want to go after. And there's a concept by Alex Hormozy called build your proof before you make a promise. I think that's a perfect example. Once you go, okay, let's just see if 10 people can do it. Is that the goal? This is in my mind, because this morning we had a marathon being ran down the road. So they started here, they ran around everywhere, and then I went to get a coffee and I just watched everyone finish this marathon, right? And for me personally, like I've always, and I've said it a few times through the podcast, like I'll run a marathon this year. I think I'm in year 3 and I haven't ran it yet, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, I know exactly why. It's because I haven't ran the first 5Ks, If I tell myself I run 5, and then 10, then 20, maybe then I'll have the credibility, bro, to be like, yeah, let's run a marathon. But I think that's where everyone's falling short. It's funny, because we're talking about this. You have to have this massive goal to chase after at the same time, but you still have to have these initial first goals. And without the big goals, you might be left stuck feeling like you've made it. Yeah. But without the small goals, you'll never get to the end goal either,
Exactly.
It's a perfect balance.
And it's, bro, like it is a massive balance. I think it applies in every aspect of life, but in order to kind of set those goals and everything and figure out how you're going to achieve them and get to those places, like accountability and reflection is very important. As you said before, like the fact that you've just said like you were going to run, like you've said you want to run a marathon and then you haven't ran the marathon, but then now you're looking at it and you're going, you haven't even ran 5K. Like you've just solved 80% of your problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the issue is now. Like the easiest part almost, or like the part that requires the least effort essentially, is the execution. And that's the issue for most people. You notice like executing something is super simple or super easy once you've acknowledged what the issue is. And as we were talking about it before, a lot of these people have these 3 to 5 year plans and they don't achieve it. The reason they haven't achieved it isn't because of an execution error. It's because they haven't identified what the problem is. They'll be like, oh, I'm not doing nothing wrong. Oh, it'll come, blah, blah. They get defensive, but it's like, hold yourself accountable, you know? And you'll notice these sorts of people are also the ones that are so quick to like judge your come up or like other people's come up, and you'll notice that as well. Like it's almost like it comes from an envy or jealousy standpoint where like you might do something good. Let's say you do complete your first 5 kilometers. There might be someone around you that's jealous of the fact that you've done that. They'll be like, man, it's only 5K. I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, all right, if you can do it, then go do it. And that's how I feel now. If someone's like, oh, bro, like, you know, I feel as though I've had people say like, oh, you know, like Shethran makes beats and like, or like he does music and stuff, but it's like, it's corny and it's this, and it's like, yes, it is corny. It is corny. Like I'm 23 years old and I sit at home and I make beats and I want to be a musician and I want to be an artist and I want to go out and showcase my music to hundreds of thousands of people. It is corny. It is very, very corny. Yeah. But the thing is, once it gets there, then is it corny? Do you know what I mean? Bro, like, is it corny when I'm there, is it corny? It's not, right? Like once we're at those stadiums, once we're in these arenas, once we're in these venues, is it corny then? No. But it's like, it's also like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I've got so many, like, I think at this current point in my life, I can safely say like not a lot bothers me. Like there are things that bother me. Obviously, you know, we're human. But when it comes to stuff like this now, like I've just really like come to accept that people will be the way that they're going to be and they're going to remain that way until we showcase that we have gotten to where we want to get to. It's, you know, it's like, it's really just an accountability thing. Most of these guys that have these plans and don't get to where they want to get to, all they're going to do is try and find ways to bring what you're doing down.
Well, I think that's like, I know that I've heard a lot of people say, so I'm just going to trust in that judgment because I haven't really experienced it in any other countries, but people say that in Australia the tall poppy syndrome is massive, you know. I think it might go across the board. It might be across the board.
It's such a common comment, bro. Like,
yeah.
I think I've watched like ample amounts of podcasts or like videos or creative things or whatever. Everyone brings up this tall poppy syndrome concept. And once again, I think the reason that it's here is because like people enforce it, unfortunately. Like I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, we've got it, but it's not just the person that's behaving that way. Like it's not just him that's the issue. It's the people that are like enforcing it in a way, like giving that person the power to behave that way, if that kind of makes sense. And this was what I was saying before with like the creative stuff, where if you're an artist on the come up and everyone around you is like convincing you that you've made it before you've made it, then it's obviously going to get to your head.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you've had a rush of success so quickly, it is natural to be that way. Like I'm sitting here saying this at 23, but at 19, when I first started making beats, if I made a beat and within the first 6 months, like I got a crazy hit song and got signed, it would have definitely got to my head.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have had the experience to understand like how to uphold this, or like I wouldn't have had the people skills. I wouldn't have been in these social situations. I wouldn't have gone to events. I wouldn't have, you know, like I wouldn't have had the downs where I'm learning these lessons and going, okay, it's okay to be disappointed, or it's okay to be stood up or let down, or like you've got to go through those phases to like really understand it. So how I see it, I think people blame tall poppy syndrome on personal insecurity to a certain degree. And once again, like I said, this is my opinion. So, you know, like people get upset by it. Like, you know, there's nothing I can really say, but how I feel about it is if you're going to let the way someone else behaves bother you to the point where you're like, oh, they're acting famous, they're acting too good, blah, 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 that's a you problem. Like, go fix that. If I go out, like, I will always I think I'm a very, very mirrored reflection of my mother, and like I'm very proud of that. And one thing I've noticed with my mum is she will never change what her personality is like for other people. Even if they don't treat her the way that she wants to be treated or whatever, she will never drop her character for them. And every time I have like some sort of frustrated crash out about something and I discuss it with her, she always says to me like, okay, they're doing that, but why do you have to change yourself? And that's one thing I've like always stood by. I will go to events, or I will go to places, or I will do things with the exact intention of the way I want to do it. And if someone else's behavior is standoffish towards me, or if I can tell that a person doesn't respect me or acknowledge me, I'm just not going to pay them any attention. And if they're going to sit there afterwards and go, oh, he thinks he's got an ego, or he's got a big head, or blah, 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 like, that's on you. That's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're going to come up and take the time to get to know me, or we're going to have a conversation, you'll know that I'm nothing like that. The majority of these guys in the scene and in the creative space are also not like that. Most of these people are very, very good people, but the tall poppy syndrome aspect of it really just comes from people that are insecure of each other or competitive with each other. So they feel that there's something they need to prove to another person who's also not made it yet. And it's like you're both fighting to prove to each other that you're bigger than the other person, but neither of you have made it. And you're both in this space where like, you know, like you shouldn't even be competing with each other right now, because neither of you are in a playing field where the competition really matters.
There's endless pie, bro.
Yeah.
Once you can understand that the pie, and I've said this a few times through this podcast journey I've been on, where once you start limiting yourself to there's only a small amount of this pie, and I better make sure I get my good chunk, bro. And you know what I mean? Someone else is getting into the same space as you. You're like, great, now I've got to start sharing my audience, my reach, my market, my community, my town. Like,
yeah,
you're actually limiting yourself to how big the pie is. But as soon as you understand the truth in which this pie is infinite, like we can't even grasp how much opportunity we have in front of us.
Exactly.
Like, we don't have the comprehension as a human to know how big we can get.
Yeah.
So once you start to understand it's an infinite pie, you actually haven't lost any opportunity. You've gained it all. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where a lot of people go wrong, bro. And it's interesting to hear that perspective on tall poppy syndrome as you were saying it, where it's actually the people who are I don't want to say encouraging others, but what I know the term tall poppy syndrome to be is wanting to cut off the tallest poppy in the field, right? So it's more of when I use the term, I'm more having a dig or a go at the average everyday consumer, where I'm saying like someone sees someone doing well and exceeding and they want to cut them down and send them hate or belittle them or talk behind their back or something like that, because their insecurities that they're making it are wanting to drag them back down into the field of poppies. But to hear the fact that like sometimes people are actually not deserving, but almost encouraging the platform for people to be like, no, by being egotistical, by bigging themselves up, by putting down on others to make themselves bigger, like in a way, the tall poppy syndrome makes sense.
Yeah,
you know,
right? Yeah,
it actually does.
Think it's interesting because there's so many ways to look at it, but I think what I've like really learned to acknowledge is it's only going to bother you if you let it bother you, and most of the time, it will bother you if you're insecure about it. And I have definitely been very, very, very insecure about it, and I'm like super open to even say that. I've been in headspaces where I've looked at other people and gone, man, like, why are they in these places? But it's like, I'm in no place to judge because I don't know what they've done to get there. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just sit behind a screen and judge someone else's success without knowing what they've done to get there. Most of the time, it's like, it could have gone either way. Like, one might be the fact that, you know, they do have the right connects to get there, or they may have put the effort in to get there, but I think my perspective on it has like really heavily shifted now, where, you know, like I said, if I go out to an event or something, and I can read the room fairly well, I'll never do it in a disrespectful manner. But if I pick up that someone is not inviting to go up to and have a conversation with, or if I know that they're like pretending like I'm not there, which is very common here. You will see people that know you or like know of you or have you on social media or whatever, and they will stand in public and act like they don't know you.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
actually true.
It's so common. And for me, it's like, if I see that and I know you're like that, I'm just not going to pay you attention.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and that's not even an ego thing for me. It's more just like, you are expecting me to come up and talk to you. You're expecting me to come up and like big you up first, so that it feeds like whatever insecurity you've got going on. I just don't have time for that.
I think it could also be a natural feeling of insecurity in the first place.
It's like asserting dominance in a way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something like I don't like, because I'm not like that. You know, I'm a person where like if I see someone I know, I tend to get excited. Like it's human nature to be like, oh, like, you know, go up, have a chat to them, how you been, blah, blah, blah. And it's like people like that, like my friends that give me that energy, I've always got that same love for them, where I'm never going to look at someone and not go up to that person just because they haven't come up to me first.
Yeah.
Like if I know that love is reciprocated or that energy is reciprocated, I'm always going to go and say what's up to those people. But it's very, very easy to read the room with it. And now I've just learnt that if I go to an event and I can tell that someone doesn't look inviting, I'm just not going to bother with them.
Yeah, if you can definitely pick up on the fact, but then why waste your time? Why waste your energy? Why waste your effort?
Yeah.
Personally, bro, I love it. I love seeing people in public I know, even if they don't know me. If I saw Cursor like a week and a half ago, I was like, bro, straight away, like, bro, what the fuck is up, bro? You know what I mean?
I met Cursor 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. He was nice.
He's very nice.
Very, very nice guy. Yeah. I remember, like,
I didn't have much of an interaction with him.
Yeah,
like
really nice.
I only just got to quickly say what's up and how you doing, but he had the time and the energy and the effort for it, bro, which I appreciated, you know, which is
I think as we get older, man, like it's like you need to practice these traits early, because, you know, this is the sort of stuff that's going to help you develop and help your career grow and help your progress as a person, like as you get older, as you know, kind of work through whatever it is you're working through. And if you're going to come off arrogant and, you know, unresponsive and unapproachable from the get-go, then you're cutting yourself short of opportunities, because you don't know who's in front of you.
Of course.
Most of the time. You don't know who knows what they're capable of. Like if you put the ego aside and take your time to get to connect with different people, like you could build something really good for yourself, and you're cutting yourself short of that. So it's like, I don't know, man. Now it's just a thing of like no competition, no envy, just, you know, like work on what you want to work on for yourself. And don't pay any attention to the people around you that like don't want to give you that time of day. Tall poppy syndrome, in my eyes at this current moment, like it definitely like subjectively exists, but in my mind, and I know for my boys it's the same thing. In my mind, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
because I try not to take it in. So,
I like that. Well, a couple of things on that point, as you were just saying, like there's a really good book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it's got like 100 million copies sold worldwide. I remember I went to a bookstore, let's just call it a year ago, bought a bunch of books, told my pop about it. Yeah, I went to the bookstore yesterday and he goes, oh, did you buy How to Win Friends and Influence People? I'm thinking, how did you even know that?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I had it when I was younger. Bro. You know what I mean? I'm
So
like, rah.
big reach.
It's a great book, bro, because like it talks about exactly that. It talks about all these famous historians that we are all aware of, whether they be the names that we know, like Teddy Roosevelt, like it might be like JFK, like all these main names, or it might be the names of famous corporations, like the guy who founded GM Motors, or like these other successful businesses. And it showed and explained how they lived their life trying to be the person to put themselves in the vulnerable position first and introduce themselves, and not just introduce themselves, but show interest and then remember that, you know, like there's a big humility that the universe will reward us with if we're able to be vulnerable and put the ego aside. Ask someone their name, bro, you know, like I did it, practice it this morning, bro. I see these people with the cafe next to me. I'm like, come on, bro. Like I had to just say, hey, how are you? Did you enjoy the race? You know what I mean? It's like, and that's just practice. Like it's like, and I'm not very good at it. I often fall victim to the ego, to the pride, to the insecurities. Like I'm not perfect, but if I have an opportunity to try and practice it, I will, because bro, I can't tell you how fortunate I am realistically to have friends in my life because I made that decision.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it pays off in the end, I feel. And I think like I said, it takes a while to learn it. And I think as you get older, the more you hold yourself accountable and reflect on the decisions you make, you can definitely like motivate yourself and reinforce yourself to become a better person. I can't say that like I'm perfect. I definitely think that a lot of I'm not gonna say bad blood, but a lot of distasteful memories, I suppose, or distasteful opinions that certain people might have of me most definitely could be warranted from like what I may have been like when I was younger. But I've also come to understand that a lot of people's opinions may develop from what they've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like what they've heard from someone else might once again just be a whole load of miscommunication, or it might be a misread, or it might be something that like may have happened that was in my favor where I wasn't in the wrong, or like I hadn't done anything wrong to this person, but they've decided to still go and spread false rumors or whatever else. And it's like that sort of stuff will definitely like impact you in the long run. People don't tend to forget things, but as you get older, as you said before, it's like positively like reinforcing yourself, telling yourself to come out of your shell, and like practicing these good social skills and social cues and all that sort of stuff. Like it definitely pays off, like long-term development.
Of course. And you can almost rewrite any history that was written by us as individuals in the first place by being a bit more closed off, or having these rumors spread about us, by trying to evolve and become this better communicator.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can just throw all that out the window, because the second time we meet them, bro, it's like they might come to a conclusion, or they might not.
Exactly.
That they had an ill reading. But like, there's one thing you said around that subject as well, by not letting the judgment of others affect you, and you said you're at a position now where you've actually come to this bit where as a bit more younger, you had a bit more like, I
was very insecure.
Yeah, like, and I can relate 100%. I can relate to that. And I think one thing that I'm really learning, bro, to maintain that balance of what that is, it can relate to what we were talking about earlier about remaining humble and not letting that pride and ego of the success get to you, is if you don't want the bad comments to get to you, I've realized I can't let the good comments get to me either.
Exactly.
Like I can't let, and to be honest, it doesn't bother me. I've gotten to a place where it doesn't bother me if someone wants to comment shit online or even say something in real life. But it also doesn't matter if they say, bruh, you did really well. If I don't feel like I did a good job at whatever I'm doing, don't matter if it was a good thing or a bad thing, bro. My decision's my decision, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, as you said before, I think it's a balance. It's really just, I think it's like filtering what you consume and what you don't consume. And as you said before, it's like, it's always good to take in positive reinforcement. And like, it's always good to take in, like when someone gives you like your flowers, like you have to take that in, like if you've earned that, you deserve that. Like you have to naturally take it in, but it's really what you do with it afterwards that kind of dictates what happens moving forward. If someone tells me like, man, like you're really good at what you do, most of the time, like I always find it flattering more so than anything, where like I'll tell people like I appreciate that. I'm never going to be like, man, thanks. And then like it gets to my head.
Of course. You got to take it with what it is.
You got to take it with, I forgot what
appreciation.
Appreciation. Yeah. But it's like, well,
to be honest, it's almost like the same way you don't take criticism like it's nothing either. You still got to try and find the constructive aspect of whether someone says this is us. If they come with a bit more of a descriptive word for why, then maybe you can realize like, oh, they might be right. I'm not going to take what they say as everything I do is shit, but to this person, this could be improved. And then, to be honest, like you kind of have to be able to filter and interpret good comments and bad comments what they are, but you can't let that affect your character. You know what I mean? Just let it be to try and improve your craft instead of your character.
Yeah, I think it's like filtering. Filtering what you consume, as you said before. If someone's giving you criticism, or you've heard something that might make you upset, or something that isn't very pleasant to hear, you got to take in aspects of it as well. Like if you are in the wrong, or it is something you've done wrong, like you have to put your pride aside. Or if it is criticism for something, like you have to put your pride aside, because there could be good lessons that you could learn from it. But the same thing, if someone tells you that you're really good at something or whatever else, if you let that get to you too early, then like you're cutting yourself short for further development.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely. I didn't expect this podcast already so far, this conversation to be so psychological, bro. I'm genuinely loving it. I really am. I'll circle back to a bit more of your story and your timeline so far. So I know that you got into music, you got all this equipment, you had a couple You're fortunate to have a couple good people in your life to be able to guide you in the right directions.
Yeah.
You've downloaded FL Studio, bro. You're watching the YouTube tutorials. Because you started to make the beats and you weren't really focusing on making the music anymore, who did you start making? Who did you start having appear on your songs as the voices, as the singers, as the rappers?
So like at the early stages, I think for me it was just trying to make the beats. Like I wasn't even chasing like placements, so to speak. And there was so many different lessons I was learning from it. I think initially I was making beats thinking like, I'm going to send it to this famous person and these famous people, and I was so caught up on trying to get these big placements. And then obviously that experience humbled me like very quickly. And I like had to take a step back and realize, okay, like it's not as easy as it seems. And I backed off. And my second year of uni, I met, one of my brothers now, Saint Quay, who is, probably like one of the most talented artists I know. My brother, got a lot of love for him. Extremely hardworking dude. Probably the only other person I know in my life that's somewhat on the same wavelength as me in terms of like emotional understanding and motivation as well. When we first like linked up, man, I can't even remember how it happened now, to be honest, because like it feels like forever ago, but it was just in uni, like just mutuals and stuff, and found out he made music. We ran a session one time, and my other friend, Josh, who was the one that put me on to everything initially, taught me how to make stuff. He was in that session, and we all kind of like just kind of started working together and little bits and stuff like early on. And then from there, me and Quay just kept working together, kept, making songs. And he was like the person that I enjoyed making music with the most, because it was like you're making it with your mate, right? And there were so many lessons to take from it initially too. And that's like the first instance of where I was supposedly getting like placements. Like he was the first artist using my instrumentals and everything. And then from there was where I really started to like network and develop connections. And the way I did that initially was just get into the DMs, like message other producers like all over Australia, or message producers from the UK or Canada, ask them for work or send them some of my work, and just collaborate, make beats together. And then those beats that I would send back to them, they would have an emailing list of artists that they would send it to, and that opens like doors for a whole set of placements. Same thing for me here. If they send me stuff here, I'll send it to Quay or like other local artists that I was meeting, and then that will open doors for placements that way. And, I was able to build these relationships with all these producers and engineers from all over the country and different countries that I hadn't even met. And to be fair, like, I couldn't even really tell you, like, how quickly it happened, but I think it all happened in, like, almost a year.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah. So it's like I met so many people from, like, 2022 to 2023, like a ridiculous amount of, like, producers and artists. And that flipped like the whole switch for me. And then having Quay by my side at the same time, he's working on his own campaign, so he's developing as an artist, same time I'm developing as a producer, and then we're working together, and like we're at all these shows and doing all this other stuff and taking lessons from it. It's almost like it makes sense that like the journey makes sense for us, like in the direction that we were going in. And I'd always tell him, I'm like, bro, like this is borderline, like obviously nowhere near on the same level, but I'm like, it's kind of like Future and Metro type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Or like in this current day and age, it's like Nems and Zell, for example. Zell being Nems' like in-house producer, and them like coming up together. It's such a dope story to me, and I think I value it way more than like trying to be a producer that's got like famous people songs, or like that's got a song with Drake or whatever else. Obviously, like I would love that later on in my career, but I think right now, working on developing an artist, especially someone that's one of my best mates, and us coming up together and learning these lessons together, that's kind of where the journey had gotten to. Fast forwarding up to 2023, and 2023, the end of 2023, I quit my job and went to London for 2 months.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I went out to London because the UK sound was something that I was like really infatuated by at the time. Wanted to meet people out there, made some connects over social media, and went out there, and man, like those 8 to 9 weeks or 8 weeks or however long it was I was out there, I met so many artists, so many local artists, producers, people out there, and that was a whole different experience. You know,
That's mad.
Just like coming back to Australia after that, like came back with like all this knowledge of like these different drum patterns and sounds and stuff that like I'd never heard before. And then now I'm in a space where I've got these connects overseas, got these connects in Australia, and now I can like integrate both. So I've found producers or other producers that I feel I work well with, and majority of them are overseas. And I've got a big chunk of them in Australia too that like I definitely am very motivated by or look up to. But I've found different sources to work with, and I've definitely noticed that like who you know plays a massive part in your journey, almost more so than what you know.
Oh, bro, facts.
Yeah.
Reach.
I think that definitely helped. Like the connects were definitely like a massive, like a massive importance. And yeah, so I use those connects now, reach out to the right people to get the right work done. They might get started on a project, send it to me to finish, or I might get started on a project, send it to them to finish. Or I might work on a whole project myself. It just depends on what it is. And then there's like almost 70 to 80% of the time I'll send it to Quay first, give him the first pick. He'll pick out what he likes. Whatever he doesn't like, I'll send out to other people. Or if there's stuff that I've specifically made for other people, I'll send it to them. And then whether they use it or not, I'll still send those beats to Quay and go, yo, like, this is made for this person, but just use it for like practice. Or like just keep it as a spare beat to just run ideas on or whatever. And we just make sure that whatever material we've got, everything now gets used. And then we'll go back, reflect on the songs afterwards, and then figure out what we're going to put out. And everything in this current moment of like our career, everything now and moving forward is intentional. Every decision, every music release, every campaign, every video, where we are, all that stuff. Like I tell him, you know, it's not about, and once again, like I guess this ties into that tall poppy syndrome aspect where I'm like, it's not about what other people think anymore. It's about what is going to work and what isn't. That's what I said to him. I was like, bro, who gives a shit? If we go out, we see XYZ who's like in the scene or something and they think we're not important, who cares? Because at the end of the day, we're not important. But in a sense, they're not important either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm standing in front of Drake and he's not acknowledging me, I can hack that. I can be like, yeah, fair enough, because he's Drake. But if it's the next person who's like nowhere near like major success level, why do I care? Well, and Quay's the same. Like he feels the same, and it's like, so I think we've come to this like almost mutual mental agreement where we're both kind of on that same wavelength, and it helps the work process really well. So now everything's just intentional, and that's where we've like currently gotten to.
I love it. That's mad. Everything you just said, like I wrote down yesterday, to be honest, yesterday I was having a bit more of a down day, you know what I mean? I was just thinking to myself like, like it wasn't stimulating enough. I've got big ADHD, OCD, everything needs to be go. It's a bit more chill. And towards the later half of the day, I'm thinking to myself like, man, nothing's happened. And then I start to spiral. But to pick myself back up, I got some whiteboard markers and drew on my mirror. I was trying to think of what's something I can write down that's going to motivate me, not just for the rest of today, but tomorrow, the next day, I can look back on it. And the big thing that I came to the conclusion of was, no one cares, do it for you. And that's exactly what you're saying, that you and Quay are kind of like on the same pattern with, you know what I mean? Like, well, they might say they don't like it, but at the same time, like, who gives a fucking...
it doesn't matter. Like, because someone will like it.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? And I think I've come to learn now, like, if I could go back and explain and I'll be so honest, if I could go back and explain myself to people that I may have left a bad opinion on, or if I could go back and sit down and have these conversations with people that I might not get along with now or whatever, and it's on their side and not my side, if in the sense of like they feel a certain way towards me, not the other way around, I would take that opportunity. You know, I would ask them like, what made you feel this way, or like, how can we put this aside and move forward, whatever. But unfortunately, it's not like that with everyone. I will take every opportunity that comes that way though. If someone was to come up and go, man, like, you know, I felt this way because I didn't appreciate this and this, I've got no issues like apologizing for it, or, you know, if it is something that I was unaware of or something from ages ago that we can talk out and move forward, I've got no dramas doing that. But unfortunately, it's not always the way it's going to be. And we're definitely going to be in places where people don't like us. We're going to be in places where people are going to think we're undeserving of what we've got, or going to be in places where people think we suck. And to be fair, it's like, you know, we probably do suck. I don't even like, and this is the thing, bro. That. It's like, when I really think about it, it's like, yeah, like in the grand scheme of things, it's like, we might be good in this space, but then when we step out of this box into the bigger box, we suck again. And then we get into that box, and then we step into the bigger box and we suck again. And it's like, you have to go through that cycle. And I had a friend, like a very, very, very close, very driven and successful friend of mine once tell me, it's like, he went through the same phase, but in his field of work, he keeps it pretty private. So I won't go into what it is he does, because it will bait him out a little bit. Completely legal, by the way. Yeah. It's a personal business that he runs. He called me a couple of years ago and told me that he was quite unhappy with the direction of where his life was going. And he feels as though he would be more successful in a personal business space. And he started this business essentially going into sales. So he has a sales business where he sells a product or an item, and it's something that everyone uses. It's like, I use it, you use it, everyone has this item. But the difference with him is, he said that he wanted to scale it in a way where it wasn't just local. And this is what I was saying before, where it's like a local success. Like, he was like, he wanted to put together a process where he's able to put out as many of the product for people as possible, that he's earning a more than stable income. He started the business officially in like mid 2023 maybe. Learnt lessons along the way. I saw him on the weekend for the first time since last year May, because he lives in Brisbane. He lives interstate, and he is like on par to 7 figures.
Oh, wow.
On par to seven figures, not even 6 figures, like on par to 7 figures. And I was so proud of him when I heard it. Like, there was not a single bit of like envy or jealousy or anything, but I was so impressed that he was able to pull that off, that like when I sat down and had a conversation with him like afterwards, and I asked him like what pushed him to get to this phase, or like how did he get here, what he said to me was, he counts every small win first. So he's looking at, you know, waking up and achieving 100 small wins every day for a week will accumulate to much more than having one big win at the end of the week. So it's like small steps that will accumulate. It's, for example, like if I'm to sell something for $100, but then I'm able to continuously flip that with smaller profit margins in comparison to like waiting till the end of the week to get like a $1,000 profit margin, I'm going to make more in the long run. And the way that he kind of described this to me was like, bro, like when I first started, I'm looking at people that are making $1,000 and I'm like, dude, I want $1,000. And he makes $1,000 and he's in spaces where people are making 10 grand. He's like, I want 10 grand. And then it goes to 100 grand, and then it goes to $1 million. And then once you make your first $1 million, you're in a playing field of people that are making 10 mil.
Yeah,
like how do I make 10 mil? And then bang, like you're in these rooms, all these business people making 10 mil. And then after that, you're looking at people making 100 mil and you're like, shit, I want that. So it's like every single time you level up, you're going to be in spaces with people that are better than you. And then all you can really do is like refine your process in order for you to like match the playing field that you're in. And it's the same thing with this, where, you know, if there are people around us at this current point that think we suck or that think we aren't good at what we do or whatever, it's like they're probably right. Like we might be good to one person, but then to someone who knows more than us, we're not going to be great. But then once we get to that stage, then we're going to be around someone else or some other bigger people that probably don't think we're great, and then we're going to work towards that. And that's a part of the journey. You know what I mean?
That's an important message, bro. Yeah. That really is an important message, you know, to understand that you are always going to be shit. Yeah. No matter how great you get, you know, which
like
is
there's always room for development. Like I don't even know if I just use shit as like a, you know,
no, I use shit. You didn't use shit. I use shit. I use shit.
But I mean, like,
I'm just saying, like, that's just an easy way for people to digest it, because when people are looking down upon someone, it makes us feel shit. You know, that's why I use shit as an example, because bro, I think it's a perfect understanding. Like it really is.
Yeah. And I think that's why now it's like it doesn't really phase us out anymore going into those spaces. If people don't think we're great, like I'm cool with that. It's subjective. And most of the time I'll value that opinion based off where that person is in life. Like, are they associated to the space that we're in, or is it just the next person, or what have they done with their life? Like, I look at all that sort of stuff first, and I'm like, right, this person's unhappy with themselves. They're judging us for something that we're doing. That's fine, man.
Let them be. Yeah, let them be.
Yeah.
That's mad. So then I understand you're making all these connections and you've been growing your network. I'll quickly want to touch on this as well, because I think a lot of people are maybe not, I don't think everyone can relate in the world of, wanting to get into the music industry, especially into the producing side of what making music is. But I think a lot of people do have a dream and something like this as well. So I think a lot of people understand that network is net worth. A lot of people are aware of what that is, but until they've started to do it, they won't see it as a viable option in front of them. It's almost like, well, how am I going to meet these people? I remember, if I was to go back to this, I'm going to keep using the podcast as an example, where I want to start sitting down with these types of people, my favorite rappers, my favorite business owners, internet personalities, whoever it is. But how am I going to get in contact with these people? But even the idea of networking seemed impossible.
Yeah.
I think because I've gone through it, and it sounds like you've gone through it too, you've met all these people, like, how do those first steps kind of look like for you?
I honestly think that you just kind of have to put yourself out there. It is definitely a very humbling experience. But it's almost one of those things of like, like I forgot what the term was for it, but a good example I can give is my mom used to tell me, like, in school especially, or even in uni actually, I had a really bad habit of telling mom, like, I've got an exam tomorrow, but like I only need like 40% and I'll pass it. You know what I mean? And my mom would be like, why are you always looking for passes? She'd be like, if you want 40% and you aim for 40%, you're going to get 20%. So she's like, if you want 40%, aim for 100. She's like, you want 80, aim for 100. You want 70, aim for 100. Always aim for 100. That way, whatever comes underneath 100, you're not going to get disappointed. So I think it was the same thing with the networking stuff, where if I wanted to make connects, I wasn't just going to text one person and hope that person replied. I was sending like 100 DMs a day, almost, to every producer I knew. And it was like, honestly, at that point, it's like, it is embarrassing, I'll be honest, right? And it's like, a lot of people be like, man, why would I do that? But it's like, if you're not going to put yourself out there to build those connects, and you're going to put the embarrassment first, you're not going to develop. Like, you're not going to get those connections. And if I send out 100 DMs, there's a good chance maybe only 10 will reply. But those 10 will end up being like valuable connections in the long run. That's initially what ended up happening. I'd send out hundreds of DMs, and then I'd only get a couple of replies, and then I'll lock in and work with those guys first. And then once I got a little bit of progress or whatever else, and I'm like promoting that on my page, that will attract more producers or other people in the space that want to lock in with you. And I'm using producers as an example more so than artists, because I think for me, I value producers being a producer, right? I think that that's where I develop most of my skill sets. Artists equally as important, engineers equally as important, obviously. But for me, it's like, as I said before, if a producer gets in contact with me, we work together, and then they push it on their page, for example, other producers are going to see that and touch base or whatever. And it becomes a thing where, like, once you become once again, I'll use this lightly, but once you become a recognizable entity, I'm not saying I'm a recognizable entity, but like, once you become someone that's like almost known, where people are like, oh, I've heard of him, or like, oh, that person looks familiar, or I've seen his name on instrumentals or whatever, you're almost guaranteed, or like there's a higher chance you're going to get a response to a message or a DM. And it's the same thing with mutuals. Like on Instagram, I think a good way to use Instagram, and how I use it now, is like, it's almost like a resume, or like a portfolio. If you've got a good amount of connections on your Instagram page, and you go to follow someone that's in your same creative space, there's a good chance they're going to suss you out. They'll click on your page, see who follows you, see what the mutuals are. If they go through your mutuals and they see, oh, this person that I know follows them, this person I'm connected to follows them, there's a good chance you're going to get a response, or you're going to get a follow back, or whatever else. Whereas if you're going to go and try and connect with someone and you've got nothing on your page, no mutuals, no connections, no work on your page, you're not going to get a response. So I think that is definitely what helped me scale connects. like starting with sending out as many messages as possible, and then using those connects to expand into other connects. And yeah, it's really just a mix of mutuals, like quality of work, getting into messages.
Yeah. I think building that catalog on your Instagram is a really good way to look at it as well. And that doesn't happen instantly, you know.
It takes a while.
I remember sending out, I couldn't tell you how many messages in the beginning, and it was that embarrassing thing that you just said, where it's like, bro, I know today I'm very happy with the quality I'm able to put out visually, audio, and even conversational skill aspect as well. But I know in the beginning it was blurry, audio, crackly shit, right?
Yeah.
And then my catalog had nothing on it. But I was very fortunate that every now and then someone would be like, yeah, sure, bro, I'll come jump on. There might be someone following on TikTok, you know, at the time. And that appreciation I had, I can't let it go. I'll always be grateful for those people that decided to come on in the beginning. But eventually over time, a catalog gets built where people are a bit more like, oh yeah, I trust this to be a platform that I can come on and share on, you know what I mean? Yeah. But in the beginning, it is about sending out as many messages as possible, being embarrassed, you know, thinking to yourself like, man, I hope I get something. Because as you said, bro, it's like people need to trust that you're going to be with them. But I think an important thing for people to understand is someone said to me at work one time, this guy was on a scissor lift driving past me, right? Yeah. This Sparky, beep, beep, nice and slow. He stops and he goes to me, have you ever heard a story of someone who risked it all, tried their hardest and didn't succeed? And I'm just thinking, he just drives off. And I'm just like, bro, that was the
crazy
deepest shit, bro. You know what I mean?
Nuts.
Never seen or heard of this guy again. It's like an angel just landed in this scissor lift, bro, you know? And I'm just thinking like, bro, like, I don't think it is possible to try your hardest, risk it all and not succeed, you know? Yeah. And I think the inevitability for people to understand that you will get your goals achieved. You will get there.
Yeah. It takes
time, bro. You know what I mean? Like some people might take a day, some people might take a decade, but we're all going to end up in the same place, retired and enjoyed, you know what I mean? Exactly. So I think whatever time it takes, but it's nice to know that you're painting a picture as well where it starts off slow. It's not going to happen instantaneously. Eventually, you're going to start making that network, start creating that community, and then you're going to start becoming recognized just from the people that you've already built over time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. It's a slow progress, but as long as you're consistent with it, and just take those steps to put yourself out there. I've sent messages where I've gotten no replies. Definitely. I feel and it's like, and I've run into those people in public and stuff before as well, and it's like, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like
well, I'm sure you've got messages that you're not, like, I'm not going to say I don't reply to people, but everyone knows who's in the social media world, who posts anything. You get messages, hey, I run SEO chats. I help content creators grow. I do this, I do that. Like, there's not much difference between what that person's doing and what I'm doing, you know? But if I'm reaching out to someone I'm find interest in the content they make, whatever it is that they do, like me reaching out to them is just another request. Just like how these guys try and tell me they can improve my content is another request.
I think the best way as well, and like, I think the best way as well to get responses for DMs is like, it's almost similar to like applying for a job. If you're going in there sending a whole paragraph, hey, I'm from here and I would love to do this and blah, 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 and it's all just like, it sounds all like desperate, like something that you need it, like you need that, it's a good chance you're not going to get a response to that. Whereas if you keep it short, concise, you know, and you get your point across immediately, there's a good chance you'll get a response.
I can't lie. I'm going to take that as advice, bro. I swear to God, I've never considered that in my life.
I'll be so honest with you, man. Like, some of the craziest responses I've gotten for connects, I just shoot them a message, bro, you're fire. Like, let's lock in. That's it.
Yeah, man.
I'll be like, go, like, you know, I remember majority of the producers I met before, I was like, hey, like, at the time, I was like mostly focusing on drums. I'll be like, hey, I'm a drum producer. Just looking for loops. Do you send loop packs? That's it. Yeah. Like, just straight to the point. You know, and
that's a good advice, bro. I needed that.
It works. Like, it works so well.
Yeah.
Instead of going like, hey, I'm 23 years old from here and I've been doing this for 6 years, and it's like that. Like, no one gives a like, unfortunately.
Yeah, bro.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I hate to be that guy because like,
but no one gives a shit, bro. Like, what are you actually offering in that message?
But it's like, what are you actually giving them? And that's where, like, in a sense, like, sales ability. Once again, it's like, you're not selling a product, but like, your work is the product. Like, you yourself are marketing yourself, like, you are the product of you know, this podcast, this doesn't run without you. You are what this is. So how are you gonna sell that to someone? You know what I mean? And if it was me, like in that position, I'd just reach out to someone and be like, hey man, like, love the work that you're doing. Like, would be keen for a chat if you want to jump on an episode.
Yeah.
Like, one message, and there's like an 80% chance you're gonna get a response to that. And that's what I noticed with this as well. Same thing with artists. If I like an artist, I hit them up and go, yo, bro, like, music is crazy. Would be keen to send you beats. Like, you got an email immediately. Like, you just pitch it to them. Don't even. It's a thing of like, and I say this in a way where it's like, I'm not. It's not forceful, but it's like, you don't even give them room to like counter it in any way. So it's like, you're hard. Let's work. What's your email?
Yeah.
So you've already given them like,
perfect.
Give me your email. Do you know what I mean? Instead of going, yo, bro, like, if you could potentially give me your number, then I could. I don't even ask for their number yet because you're not.
I've been making beats for 4 years now.
No, like, man, like, bro, you're crazy. Let me send you a beat pack. There's a good chance they're gonna be like, all right, bet. Send you the email, and then you send the beat pack, and then leave the rest to them. And bro, like 90% of the time, people come and go, yo, bro, this shit is crazy. Like, all right, cool. And it's like, you know, one thing I've learned now is like, some artists might not like your beats, you know, or they might be like, bro, this is hard, but it's not my sound. Or some people might use them and then never drop the music. What does it matter? It doesn't matter. Like, the fact that they've jumped on something already shows like, if they've taken the time to use one of your instrumentals, it's a good instrumental. It's a good beat. That's why they've used it. If they choose to not put it out, that's fine. You know, they've obviously found something that fits better for what they're looking for. They'll put it out in due time or whatever it is. But the fact that they've taken it on is a win. The fact that they've replied to that DM is a win. The fact that they've gotten in touch and given you that email is a win. Just little things.
Yeah, and that's like how your mate was saying as well, you know, your mate is in a state was saying, you know, it's all about counting those small wins,
exactly.
You know, just in a different playing field.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sick, bro.
Yeah.
So by making all these connections and doing everything you've been doing from 2023 to 4, 22 to 3, you were saying?
22 to 3, yeah.
Yeah, you're doing that.
Yeah.
How did it get to the position you were at where you were working with Bodega and you were able to, you know, how we finally got in contact with Shreya? I was like, it sounds like there's a good chunk of time missing. Yeah. So I don't want you to fast forward through it, but I don't know what this journey kind of has looked like.
Bro, yeah, 2023, Europe obviously finished, you know, went to London, came back. 2024, what happened to 2024? Man, bro, like every year feels the same now.
It all blends, eh?
Yeah, it's blended.
Well, to be honest, we're almost at the end of 2025, bro. So it's like,
yeah,
it all would start to blend. It's bro, crazy. We're almost out of blend,
but yeah, 2024, I think was just the same consistency thing, like just working on tracks, just trying to develop skill sets, everything. And then, I don't know, man. I think I just got to a point now where I'm just really good at what I do. I don't know how else to explain it. And it's like, I feel as I'm good at, I might not be, but to myself, like I feel like I'm good at what I do, especially in the world of networking. I think I enjoy the business side more so than I do the music, to be fair.
That's
like,
cool.
I love the music, like that's the passion, but the business is what I'm fixated on. And I think that's what's helped me like get to where we've gotten to. In terms of Bodega, as I said, my friend Josh that got me into the music space, that helped me step into the music space. He took me to Bodega Studios in like early 2022. That was the first recording studio I ever went to, and I met Peter there for the first time, but very, very briefly. So I've always kind of mutually known him, but not on a personal level. And then I think in 2025, so this year, in March, he had messaged me and he was like, yo, we're doing Pass the Mic in Canberra, and one of the guys here said that like you would be able to sort that out for us, so do you want to get involved on it? And that once again was a result of the networking, you know, because like, you know, you're meeting people, like they're aware of who you are. And now because I do come from Canberra, which is a smaller playing field than what it is Sydney and Melbourne, it's very easy to, you know, have a recognizable, I'm not going to say reputation, but have a recognizable
just craft or
whatever it might be.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Smaller playing field, so it's easy for people to identify you from that spot. So I guess when talking about Canberra, my name, you know, thankfully and very gratefully got brought up. Peter got in touch with me, I remember when I initially read the message, I like called Quay and I was talking to Quay about it. And initially, bro, like I didn't know if I wanted to take it, I'll be honest. And I think it was, once again, like just that insecurity aspect where I was like, damn, like this, you know, like, so Peter's a very, very like successful person in my opinion. And he's put together this collective that's come very far. A lot of highly skilled people in their team. A lot of a lot of influential people and all that sort of stuff. And when he touched base with me, I didn't know if this was something that like I had the capacity to take on. You know, I was doubting myself. Spoke to Quay about it. I was like, bro, this low-key could be a big job. Like, if I don't pull this off, like, it might not look good. But then Quay was like, bro, like, you're not going to know if you don't do it. If you don't do it, they're going to take it to someone else who's going to, like, either do it and it's going to be good, or they're not going to do it, like, good enough, and it's just going to look bad on the city. So it's like, you know, there was a lot to kind of play around with. But then, yeah, I ended up taking it. I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
And what did they want you to do when it comes to when they reached out?
It was like sourcing out the venue, figuring out artists. Obviously, we did this together, like, regardless of what they say, like this or like whatever, we worked together on it.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't just go and make decisions, do the whole thing by myself or whatever, but like definitely ran ideas past Peter and like it helped. But yeah, just sourcing out a venue, finding artists, just trying to bring everyone together.
So it's like a local thing, hey? So everyone kind of like from
have like a local moment.
Like I've met a lad after party. I'll call him a friend through doing the podcast who I like to stay in contact if I can with him. And I'm pretty sure he was on one of those back in the day and he ended up going on tour. I think the winner of it went and opened for the 046 boys, I think. That might have been the story he told me.
True.
So I kind of understand that you have like a bit of a competition with these mic'd up things. That's what it is?
Yeah. So Pass Mic is essentially like a competition. This year they went nationwide. So every city in Australia, picking out 2 finalists from each city, and then they all compete. Winning artist wins $25,000.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A lot of money, yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah. So that's the way it kind of went. And yeah, so when he brought Canberra to me, kind of sat down and we were just really running through some ideas, and I was like, all right, cool. This is a local moment. We've got a well-known entity coming to our city for the first time. We have to make this as big as we can possibly make it. And when I mean big, like I'm not talking like just people we know. It's like I'm going to step out of my comfort zone, message people that I've never spoken to before, or message entities that I've never spoken to before, and just bring everyone together. Like this event essentially should be a no ego event. And that was the goal for me at that point. I was like, bro, like I'm not even going to sit here and like judge based off like people's characters or whatever. It's like, no, everyone that does something that I know or like that I would like to build a connection with, they all have to come together for this. So we mapped it out, and I think, yeah, bro, they said 15 artists, but I think I could be so wrong now because I can't remember, but I think we had like 20 artists. We had a local food truck because I wanted to, you know, keep it local. We had a local food truck, 4 or 5 local clothing brands. A bunch of people kind of just came together, and went and reached out to each of them one by one, and it checked out very well. And then we shot a little advert for it. And I chose that advert route because I was like, you know what? Once again, Bodega has a big following base on their social media. It's not just Canberra, it's Australia-wide. So if we post an advert, post it in collaboration with their page, like it's all just reach. Like this is an opportunity for reach. So we did it that way, just did heaps of advertising and stuff.
Well, I know you also reached out and got, as we mentioned, Shreyas to come up.
Of course, Shreyas.
That's a good little touch, bro.
Yeah.
That's
and
genius.
I think that was almost a last minute decision. I think we did it in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the way that came around as well, like the full process for the way that came around was, and I won't discuss the figures or anything here, but I had reached out to my cousin's like family friend, and I was like, yo, like, if your boy Shreyas is free, like I'd love to have him involved in this. He said, cool, bro, I'll tell Shreyas to get in touch. Then me and Shreyas got in touch. Shreyas sent me his like manager's contact and jumped on a call with his manager and explained to him like, look, this event's happening. I know that Shreyas is out right now shooting content. and his content's obviously doing decent views, it would be cool to have him as an interstate entity come into Canberra and maybe like interview people at the show, or like interview the brands, or just shoot footage. And then if he puts that footage out on his page, like that's obviously numbers and whatever else. And then his manager obviously got back and was like, yeah, he's down to do that, but here are the fees, like XYZ fees. And then I got back in touch with him and I explained to him, I was like, look, I like can acknowledge and appreciate, obviously everyone has to get paid for their work, but the aspect of Pass the Mic and the aspect of what we were doing was there's so many local acts coming together for a local moment and no one's getting paid for it. You know, there's artists performing who aren't getting paid. DJs, sorry, I forgot to mention the DJs. There was four or five extremely talented DJs there who weren't getting paid. Clothing brands that were coming and setting up stalls, and it's like everyone's there to support each other. It was the local moment was really that value, and we're all running around putting hours and hours of effort in, and no one's getting a check for it at that time. So it's like, you know, this was really just a big opportunity. We have bodegas running around doing all this stuff in all these cities and everything, and it's like, even for them, it's like, you know, like there's not enough funding to really go around, and this being a first time massive tour was really just for everyone to take an opportunity to come together and put each other on. So I explained that to Shreyas's manager, and yeah, he loved the concept of it, which was super dope. And then I said to him, I was like, look, I understand from where Shreyas is now, he needs to get paid, and I completely respect that. So I'm going to be completely transparent. And like I explained the situation to him, and I said, if there's fees involved, we'll leave it for next time. Maybe if there's an event that comes up where there is money and budgeting for something like this, I'll get back in touch and maybe we'll bring him over. He said no worries. And then I think a couple of days later, man, like Shreyas just got in contact with me. He was like, bro, to be fair, like I just love the idea of it. I'm keen to come anyway. Yeah, when he came down, like, he came down. He didn't even like ask for anything from it or anything. He just came to be there, be in the space, and yeah, it was cool. Like he, you know, came, shot some funny content. People, you know, like were amused with him being there, and obviously interacted with him and got to like have a chat with him, and that obviously gave him an opportunity to kind of showcase what he's like off camera, which is where a lot of people were like, bro, he's actually a really nice guy. Like I had so many people be like, he's a really good dude, like, off camera. And yeah, him being there definitely tied in that little bit of like that humorous aspect as well. And I think overall, like the night, I can't remember because I was a stress head that morning. Like people were like, dude, like I was running around, like I can't remember shit, to be fair, but from what I heard, like it went really well. And yeah, no complications, no arguments. Everyone was there with the same level of hunger. Everyone came together. Every single artist that night performed really well. All the clothing brands did really well. Yeah, like I was so happy with the turnaround. I think we had somewhat close to like 600 people.
Damn.
Yeah,
damn. Bro, it's crazy that you were able to do that, bro. And that's just from the power of networking at the end of the day, bro. You know,
bro.
Like that's mad. Yeah. I can understand when you say like you love the business side of things more, sometimes more than the making music.
Yeah.
And
it's all just calculated that's a thrill, decisions,
bro.
really.
Because you know what you've done with that, and you've actually still tapped into that creative part of your brain, you know, and even your soul that wants to create and enjoy something that you've done by making a beat, sending it off for people to enjoy, you know. Yeah. You've done the exact same thing now. Instead of making it on a computer program, you've created this event, you know. It's a very creative process in what you did. And you've just applied the same patterns and logic as to making beats to making this event, you know. And I didn't know it was like that with DJs and clothing. And like that's sick, bro.
It was like a whole thing. And, you know, food, and like you got to think about, well, it's almost kind of like an extremely small scale festival. Yeah. Almost extremely small scale, right? And I think this is what I was saying before as well. It's like when you're given these opportunities to be in certain playing fields, the amount of room you've got dictates how much you can do. And, you know, if we're always going to be put in this box where we're not given these opportunities to showcase what we're actually capable of, we're never going to be able to present that. And this was something that I'm really grateful that I didn't back down from, because I got to build a lot of good relationships out of it. Extremely grateful to Peter for, you know, like letting me lock in with them on that. And I've got a lot of love and appreciation for him. Like, definitely, he's got a chapter in my books for this. And yeah, just the relationships, people I got to meet, the opportunities it's going to open up for later. But I definitely think that, like, being given these like opportunities and bigger playing fields has helped me expand. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to pull it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, we could have done it locally, but to be able to do it and have people from interstate come and recognize our city and take it in, like, you always have the story of there's nothing in Canberra, there's nothing in
Yeah,
Canberra.
right, bro. I lived in Canberra for 4 or 5 months, and I swear that was my story, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, right, what's going on here?
And I understand it, like, you know, bro, like, perspective-wise, if I was living in a city like Sydney or Melbourne, bro, this place is huge.
It's never ending,
Yeah, it's huge. So it's like,
just walking around this suburb, I fucking find new shit.
yeah, exactly. Like, there's stuff everywhere. So it's like, I understand why people would think Canberra's small, because it is a fraction of the size. But when you've grown up your whole life in the city, you know all the intricate details. You know the finer details. You know everyone in the city. You know people's stories, and you know, like, you just know more. You know what I mean? Like, it's so different when you're local to something and when you're a visitor. So I think this was one of those things where the local aspect was so important that we were able to bring in so much of what goes on into one space, so that people coming from the outside were able to really take it in and kind of look at it and go, there is stuff that goes on here. Because if you're going to come on an average weekday, you're not getting exposed to any of that. Like, you just come in, the city's quiet, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, gym, fucking
do you know
microwave meal, bro.
Yeah, literally, you're just going to cut home. Like, that's, you know, but coming to these events and coming to these places where people are showcasing what they do, that's where you get to find these hidden gems and hidden talents and blah, blah, blah. So I was saying before, like, I definitely think that there was a big shift in energy in our city, like, after that night. And everyone that was involved worked really hard for it. All the artists worked really hard. The DJs worked really hard. The clothing brands, everyone that helped with setup, like, everyone worked really hard for it. And afterwards, like, I feel like it was a big self-confidence and motivation boost for everyone in the creative space there, which is something that I'm, like, extremely grateful for.
Bro, it sounds like you did a mad job, bro. I'm almost envious I didn't come, bro. It sounds like it was dope, bro. Bro, mark my bro. Next time there's ever a thing like that going on, bro, just send us an invite, bro. I'll be there to see that.
I have to.
That sounds dope, bro. That's cool. That's really cool. So when it comes to the mic'd up fact of it as well, does everyone rap, or does people have different styles of music?
Bro, it was different styles. We tried to keep it as open as possible, but it was really just 15 to 20 artists. They all perform one song, and they choose the top 2 finalists out of that.
Yeah, nice. Did you get to showcase any of what you do with your mate?
Yeah. He performed as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which was cool. Unfortunately, that night he didn't get to make the finals. But I also think there was a lot of important lessons to learn from that. Quay is an extremely talented and, like, phenomenal artist, and I have a lot of bias towards our music. But I also think that as much as we work hard, there are other artists and people that also work just as hard. And there's different aspects that go into it at the end of the day. Like, he might be a very, very strong artist in terms of music, but then there might be, you know, skill issues, not issues, but there might be minor flaws and things in performance ability, for example, you know, whereas there might be other artists that might not perform or not make very strong songs, but their performance skills are really strong. And it could be anything, like, that's not targeted at anyone, but it really just came down to who did well that night. And I believe that Quay did do extremely, extremely well. And I do openly think that he was deserving of going to the next stage. But the 2 finalists that did get selected were just as equally deserving to go to that next stage. Both phenomenal performers, both phenomenal artists, both came in with crazy energy, crazy songs. So it was like, at the end of the day, you know, there was lessons to learn, but, like, we were also very proud of the two people that did move on to represent our city. And
I bet that's a good feeling, bro. Like, you actually got to showcase what sounds to be the best parts of your city, bro. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's a mad feeling. I don't know if that...
I definitely missed out on some people. I'm not going to sit here and say that everyone there was the best part, there were other talented brands, artists, DJs that obviously I may have accidentally forgotten to get in touch with, or may have like not like thought about, because there was a lot to like go through. I definitely think it's kind of like when you're trying to invite people to like a birthday party or something, you forget certain invites. Like, it's not on purpose, it was just a large amount to deal with. So I definitely think there was like a couple of others that I accidentally forgot, but yeah, a majority of it were there. I think,
and regardless, like, I'm sure there will always be a couple people, no matter in what scenario, but you still got to like, I reckon you would have done your city proud, bro. Like, that sounds,
I hope so.
That sounds dope.
Yeah, I hope so.
DJs and shit as well,
it was
bro.
cool, it was cool. I hope so.
That's dick.
It was a lot to take from. It was super dope, and
would you love to do more events like that?
for sure. But I also think, and I was saying this to a friend of mine the other day, in order to pull something like this off again at the same level, there has to be a level of value to it. So if I'm doing it every year or every 6 months, I don't think it'll do well.
Yeah.
But it's also a thing of like, I also personally feel I don't want to be the person to do that every year. Like, if I was to do it next year, for example, but it was going to be done the exact same way in our city and it's the exact same thing, I wouldn't do it. I'd say give it to someone else. You know, maybe someone younger or someone else in the scene on the come up, let them do it. Because if I do it again and it doesn't perform to the same way it did the first time, then I will be unhappy with that turnaround. So I would rather walk away knowing that I've done it once, but I've done it to the point where I'm satisfied with it and I'm very happy with it, instead of going to reattempt that and it falling off. So I think the next sort of event or the next thing that I do would have to be something different with a different purpose or a different target that I want to meet. And then, I'd step in and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Do you find yourself leaving Canberra often, being in the field you're in? Like, is there
100%.
You're because I know that we've discussed this off camera that you are back and forward between Sydney and Canberra quite often.
Yeah.
Is that just because there's only so much opportunity there?
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself moving from there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But I think there's once again factors that come into play with that. As much as I'd love to move, I've got personal life commitments. Obviously, I live with a single mom and younger sister, and I'm not exactly ready to walk away from them just yet. I'm not necessarily walk away, but just leave them just yet. I've still got a few commitments that I need to fulfill, and we're living in a rented home at the moment. Like, we're still renting and stuff like that. So I'd love to help mom. Now that I'm like almost out of uni or like just about graduated and everything, I want to help her pick up a place and make sure that her and my sister are secure and settled. And then I'll obviously branch out elsewhere.
That's a great thing to do, bro.
First, yeah.
And what is uni? What are you doing at uni anyway? What's this safety that you got in the background?
Biomedical science, bro.
Biomedical science.
Yeah.
Fuck, that sounds intricate, bro.
It was very intricate.
You find that stuff interesting too, though?
Yeah, it was. I fell out of love for it towards the end, but I think
Yeah.
it was more so just like the frustration of trying to get it done. But very grateful. It was an extremely difficult experience, but very grateful for it. Didn't finish it in the time period that I wanted to. I did extend a little bit, so I went a little bit over just about 4 years. So I had periods where like I was part-time and stuff like that for work, but loved it. And I think more so than the degree, being in uni for those 4 years taught me a lot of life skills. I made a lot of long-lasting friendships as well. So
yeah, nice. So all in all, it was a good idea going there.
Yeah.
That's cool. You might not ever make a career out of it, bro, but it's
the experience has made uni worth it. For sure.
There's a book called The Alchemist. I don't know if you ever read The Alchemist. It's my favorite book of all time, and this guy goes on this lifelong journey of self-discovery by tracking down what he thinks his calling is. I won't give away any of the book for anyone who hasn't read it, but it's a great book. But he basically goes from place to place, not really taking his skills exactly to the next spot, but he took bits and pieces about what he did, and it really helped him in the long run, And that's kind of all this journey is, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have one clear path, and I kind of like to showcase that as much as I can in my life. I've got that many different hobbies and skills and interests, and especially when it comes to work, I don't want to be stuck with my same job for the rest of my life, bro.
No, of course, exactly.
But everything I do helps the next thing, you know, it really does. So
absolutely.
I guarantee you, even in 15, 20 years from now, you'll be going, damn, that biomedical, bro, like that.
Bro, it's like, it's such a interesting perspective, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, if I don't go down the music route, I'm always going to look at it and go, like, I wish I did that. But then I know that if I do go down the music route and still get to, if I still get to where I want to get to, I'm going to look at my degree and go, I should have done something with that. But like, knowing myself, I think the music route is obviously my goal, dream, passion. That's what I want. But then once I get to a certain age where, you know, obviously everyone gets to an age where they have to step down from that or retire. And, you know, like maybe when I'm in my 40s or whatever it is, like, still going to have that degree. So it's like, you know, I can always do something with it later. Or if I make money, you know, and I get successful in the music during my early years, I can use that money to fund like science projects or something else or whatever. So it's like, having that experience it's still there. Like, it's still cool. It just depends on how I apply it.
I tell everyone, like, especially lads, because especially, I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but in Sydney, it's actually very, very common today for lads to not know what they were going to do. Like, it's surprising because only a few years ago, and like 10 years, actually maybe 12 years ago, however old I was when I started, I was like, it was easy. You just get a trade. I didn't want to do my trade for the rest of my life, but I tell everyone, if you just get one, then you can not do it ever again. You know what I mean? Like, it is realistically, but trade's also uni, and it's also all these different options as well. Trade's just usually the easiest one for dumb lads like me to get through.
Bro, I don't think anyone is dumb.
Yeah, I don't think,
you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I think dumb is the wrong word. I think different people are ambitious for different things. And I personally feel that like having an education is extremely important, especially in a country like this where we're blessed to, you know, like have it be so accessible. Like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of throwing that away. I think some level of education is extremely important because it does teach you life skills, and it does ground you a little bit as well from being chaotic. Obviously, like, everyone's had I was a very chaotic kid, like from like 16 to 19, 18. But you know, as you get older, you kind of settle down, and education helps with that. But if you're someone who is fixated on going into trade or is fixated on taking a route that doesn't require education, doesn't make you uneducated, or like it doesn't necessarily make you not uneducated. Sorry, it doesn't make you not intellectual. Yeah. There are a lot of very intellectual people that don't have degrees and stuff like that. But as long as you've got a sense of direction, I think that's the most important thing. Of course. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where I learned to learn for the first time, bro, just real quick and personally. Like, doing an apprenticeship was the first time I ever understood the term, the more you learn, the more you earn. So I locked the fuck in, bro. Yeah. I didn't do a thing in school the entire time I was there. I didn't even own a book or a pen. But I got to TAFE and like, I'm fucking scholarships, nerds, staying back after class. Like, you know what I mean?
But you see how good it's like, you're paying it forward. That's what I was thinking before. I was like, I could lock in for uni for 3 to 4 years, obviously. And like, there'll be setbacks, you know, trying to manage that and music. Mind you, full-time uni, full-time trying to do music.
And trying to earn money, bro.
And trying to, it was fucked up. Like, it was actually fucked up. And then you're sitting at home, like, single-parent household, and it's like, people don't actually understand the gravity of, like, the situation, like, how difficult all that shit is. Like, there are people that will do one thing and be like, man, like, this is burning me out. It's like, I'm trying to do multiple.
Yeah, bro.
It's actually not easy, but...
Well, think of the work ethic you've created.
Yeah,
bro.
Exactly, right? And it's like, I look at it now and I'm like, it's worth it. Like, all of it's worth it. And you pay it forward now so that you're sorted for the rest of your life. Whereas if I sit back now and go, I don't want to get through 3 years of uni, it's dragged, then I'm like, I'm cutting myself short for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Rest of my life, I'm trying to look for just any job, odd jobs, or anything else that, like, I don't even want to do, but I have to do it because I didn't lock in when I was younger. And it's a lifelong regret. So
there's a saying, you sacrifice now so you don't sacrifice later.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly.
And they say that if you never learn the hard skills of what it's like to be able to juggle multiple things at once, or even do crazy hours or put in that effort, it's something you'll never learn to do. Some people think, yeah, but later I'll lock in.
Yeah, no, impossible.
If you don't lock in now,
you can't do it now. You're not going to do it later.
You'll never do it later. Like whoever's listening to this episode, or even us having this conversation, like, we will never, ever for the rest of our lives have as little responsibility as we have now.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, life is not going to get easier. If we can't manage what we do today, we're not going to manage it later down the track,
exactly.
bro.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. To be honest, bro, we're almost at the end of the episode, realistically, but
of course.
I've loved hearing it. I did not expect you to be as deep and philosophical, and realistically, if I'm going to say the truth, like to have an interest, to have a craft is one thing. To also have a mindset built around the mentality around the craft, bro, you know, to understand,
I appreciate that.
The truth in the matter, which is the transparency across all things are the same, all right? Like how you do something is how you do everything, and how something works is how everything works.
Exactly.
Another Robert Greene book, I'll give a shout out to him, is called I think it's some Mastery. It's called Mastery, and it's about how you become a master of one, you become a master of all. And,
of course.
And you're just taking little bits of everything, bro, and you're applying it to the same thing. And it's just as like how making that beat made that bodega event, you know? Like it's really cool, bro.
Thank you.
Because we're getting towards the end of the episode, and there's still so much stuff I want to talk to you about.
For sure.
It just means that we're going to have to have room for a part 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Another episode coming up in the future.
Doubt, bro. Next time, when I'm down with Quay, I mentioned this to Quay. When I'm down, I'll definitely come up with him one time. So
Quay's someone I want to meet, bro.
Well. Yeah.
Quay's someone I want to meet. You've painted a picture of a sick lad as well, bro. And you're saying you have a very similar mindset, same energies, bro.
Yeah, he's got a whole different story, but on the same pathway, so it'd be cool. I'll definitely bring him in. And
it's definitely something I'm going to hit up
too. Sure.
But I have one final question before we wrap it up.
Absolutely.
And it's the same question I've asked 163 times pretty much so far, except for 1 or 2 episodes with reoccurring guests. But there's no right or wrong answer to this question. Like everyone just has a different understanding of what I'm even asking. So if someone reached out to you because they were feeling a bit depressed, mostly because they were just lost, is there any advice you would give that person?
Man, I think I'd tell them to. I think it would depend on what the circumstance was, what they're upset about. But I think more so than giving them advice, I'd first just listen to just let them talk first, and then once they've got it out of the way, probably just give them suggestions for what they can do, like solutions to help. But I'd tell them to take it slow. You can't tackle 1,000 things at once. So, dealing with everything step by step, day by day, small steps, the small wins, obviously. And probably I think that would probably be like my best advice to someone. To just take it slow and try to come out of it. I
like that advice, bro. I haven't heard that. I really like this question because I never really hear the same answer.
Of course. I'd imagine it's a very tricky question.
It's a beautiful question, bro. It does put people on the spot a little bit. Of course, But it also, I ask it that way because it lets people ask themselves from whoever's perspective they want, whether it be from their own, a friend, a stranger, and taking it slow is a really important lesson. We have this saying in NA, in the world of recovery, where it's like, I didn't become an addict in a day, so I can't expect to get clean in a day.
Exactly.
It took a long time to learn how to become addicted to drugs and alcohol, so I can't expect that, I'm just going to wake up better. And it does take time to feel depressed, and it takes time to get lost.
Of course,
Like Rome wasn't built in a day. So
exactly.
So the fact that it's probably going to take almost as much time to get out of it is actually a very useful piece of information, bro.
I think the only way to get out of it is to do it slowly. If you try and drop everything in one go, you're just going to cycle back. It's going to be like a domino effect almost. But if you can try and do the little things, just try and take small steps, then over time, like you look back and you realize like you've actually taken a lot of steps. You know?
Very similar to what we spoke about in the very, very start of this episode, bro, where if you don't look back and think I'm not in the same spot as I was a year ago, that's fine. You don't have to achieve everything crazy, but if you think of like 5 things realistically, then you've killed it,
Right. Exactly.
You don't have to move the needle forward 1% every day, like a lot of people say. It only has to be 1% of 1%. If you can do 1% of 1% in a year from now, you are so much further than you are when you started, bro.
Yeah, it's a big jump. It's a very big jump.
A quote that I wrote down on my mirror to motivate me yesterday, which is why I'm going to say it as well, was I don't judge today based on the harvest that I reap. I judge today based on the seeds that I sowed. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's like, what did I do today? I just got ready for tomorrow, bro. Yeah. I love it, bro. I love this yarn, bro. It's been hectic.
Thank you for
having me.
It's been
absolutely hectic.
Thank you for having me.
this episode actually comes out tomorrow. So for everyone listening, on Monday, we sat down on Sunday. So, yeah.
Damn, quick turn.
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna get straight into editing this, bro.
No,
but I really appreciate you for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
It's far from where you live, bro.
Yeah,
but you've made a mad effort and coming down to Sydney. So
thank you.
Yeah,
bro.
it's been gang.
Thank you for having me, bro.
For everyone listening, thank you as well for making it to the end of the episode. It was an amazing week this week. There'll be another one next week. That's alright. Gang, bro. Gang.
Yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping.